Chris and I have both worked with a lot of people, and one of the things that we see coming up a lot is that people think anger is wrong. That somehow there's subtle belief systems in there that say anger is bad, anger is harmful, anger is something that nice people don't express. And what happens is a lot of that was programming that we got from childhood. Somehow our brain said, oh, we shouldn't be angry, or we got told to tone it down in some way. And now, as adults, we're still taking those belief systems out in ways that we're not expressing anger in natural, healthy flows.
And the way that that typically shows up is it's really two main ways. And I think in people who consider themselves to be more kind and maybe more reserved or introverted, anger will be suppressed. Anger will be taken inward. So it's like any other emotion. It's always a movement of energy. And as the energy rises, it's caught and it's stuffed down. And two things can happen in that suppression manner, which is either the anger is continue to be suppressed and someone gets really depressed and feels lost and lonely and disconnected and doesn't feel seen or heard or loved by the people in their lives, or it can build up and explode outward as rage. And that's really the way that it shows up as adults in terms of when it's suppressed and trying to be kind or nice to people.
And it's so important to know that anger is another energy. As we're talking about in these videos, in this series, these emotions are energies moving through our body. And when we stopgap any one of them, it's going to create problems.
It's going to create health problems, problems with your relationships, all across the board.
All across the board. So what if we reframe anger? I like to think about anger as power and creativity.
And the way that I have experienced anger, one of the big lessons for me is really about setting strong boundaries in our lives.
I had a friendship a number of years ago, and it was actually someone that I considered a best male friend. And we had been friends for years. And there was this time when I started finally realizing that every time I hung out with him, or a lot of times, I would start feeling bad about myself. And it was like, for a long time, I just thought, well, maybe he's right, or maybe this is okay. And I made excuses for it for a long time. And then finally, I started getting angry. And it really was like that. It couldn't be stopped anymore. And that anger started coming up through my body in a way that I was like, I don't think this is right. I don't think this is right. And the way that it felt to me was actually powerful. And it felt like that power was moving through my body in a way to say, you know what? I'm not going to let this be okay anymore. I'm not going to have a friendship where I feel bad about myself. And so then as that creativity was able to come through, I was able to make this creative choice in my life to say, you know what? What if I don't need to be friends with this person anymore? And what if I can choose to create relationships in my life where I feel positive and I feel good about myself? And so that anger, without that energy moving through my body, I wouldn't have known to create something new.
Yeah, and on my side, a lot of this came through my romantic relationships, where there was this time I would want to be connected to someone because of my own upbringing and how I related to my family, especially my mother, and wanting to really merge my life with someone. And then I'd found that after a time in the relationship, I didn't really want to be in this relationship, and which confused me for a long time. So I thought it was my own fault, that I got into it, which it was, but it's because I wasn't paying attention to these subtle energies rising through me about, I don't want this. This is not okay for me. But then I would suppress them and suppress them and suppress them. And then they would explode. And explode is a relative term, because the way it came out was when I would start to say, I actually don't want to be in this. And then I would be accused of being a liar, or not authentic, or not in integrity. I've said one thing and now I'm doing another. And this happened again and again and again. And I started to see the pattern of, there's something in me that I am suppressing. Many of these relationships probably would have been good had I been able to say no. I don't want to go out to this party that night because I'm not feeling good. And what I would do is I'd go out and then feel terrible and come back and take it out on my partner.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's just because I didn't say no.
And you know, you and I have gotten angry with each other before.
That's been a couple times.
And I feel like our relationship is actually so much healthier because we have gotten so much better at hearing the subtleties first. I think a lot of it comes back to being in touch with the energy moving through your body, that when you start to feel that rise of anger, you're able to get curious. You're able to look inside and say, wow, rather than saying this is wrong or bad or I need to repress it in some way, what is this wave of anger telling me? And if I can allow this wave of anger to give me wisdom, then there's also a way I can express it in a healthy way to my good friend Chris.
So we can stay good friends.
Absolutely. And I feel like the other person, I mean, you have been so receiving of times where I've felt like I really need to make my voice heard. And I try to do the same for you.
Totally. And I think more of the most challenging times are there too. I mean, we're touching into some, I feel like there's some other topics that come in here around what does it mean to show up and be present and vulnerable and in forgiveness of oneself, and or knowing that you've trespassed in a way on somebody else's way of being in the world, and to allow them to express. Because when we do, I mean, this is the save your life piece, where if we're able to truly express ourselves, and it is about finding relationships with people that can receive it, then we feel seen. And then all of this healing begins to happen, that I feel seen in my truest self, that I'm actually hurting underneath my anger, that there's all this stuff that I'm carrying that's resentful, that I don't want to hold on to anymore. And I'm able to move it, and move it through tears, and move it through hugs and love, and then laughter usually is a good sign at the end of it. And that's really how it can save your life, and it's bringing your life up and out. And then you really start to build quality relationships with people you love and adore and want to work with, and continue to create with.
Yes. And create the life you want to live. Connect to your life purpose. Connect to your authentic expression in the world. And that anger is going to be able to rise to always be the compass that keeps you on track. Always, right? It doesn't lie. It's like your soul screaming at you, listen, I have something I want to say.
Yeah, and you're not paying attention.
Yes.
And you haven't paid attention last time, or the time before that, and we're going to get really loud.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I feel so grateful for anger. Thanks so much for watching today. I'm Kelley.
And I'm Chris.
And if this video brought up anything for you that you would like to explore or get additional support around, both Chris and I offer private one-on-one coaching, and we would love to dive deeper with you. Our website information is below.
And please subscribe. Kelley and I do videos regularly covering a huge range of topics around emotions and exploring emotions. And please share it with your friends and family that you know are needing help. We'd love to help. And please reach out to us and contact us with your questions. We'd love to dive in deep with you.